paranormal experience. True story. I'm a 16-year-old male, and I used to be a bit skeptic to all things paranormal, until one weekend at an abandoned house. To give some backstory, I was with my two best friends at the time, Delaney and Julia. We were home alone and bored at Delaney's house with nothing to do. I can't remember whose idea it was, but one of us had the idea to drive around some of the old dirt roads and check out abandoned buildings. There were a lot of abandoned places around where we live. It's pretty far out in the country, surrounded by either farms or woods. So we went to the first two old tobacco houses, took a few pictures and just sort of goofed off. We got back on the road and saw an old, unkept driveway. Keep in mind, hardly anyone lives on this road. So we decided to drive down the driveway, despite Julia saying we shouldn't, because it didn't feel right to her. Not the fact that it would be trespassing, just that she had extremely bad vibes about the place. However, Delaney and I insisted. We drove down it and it went pretty far back into the woods. This is where weird things started to happen. We parked the truck in a little clearing and noticed an abandoned house in the distance. However, before we got out of the truck, the front sensor went off, beeping like crazy. Then so did the back one. It was as if someone had walked around the truck. The weird thing about this is that we were parked in a clearing, so there was nothing to make the sensors go off. Even if there were, they would have gone off before we even parked the truck, and wouldn't have just randomly gone off in that order. Delaney and Julia were kind of freaked out, but I just ignored it. It wasn't until later that this would freak me out too. We all got out of the truck and started walking towards the house. I was in front, with my friends walking a decent distance behind me. If I'm honest, I was just showing off and acting fearless. I wasn't that scared until I saw her. A woman. A woman with dingy, unkempt-looking hair in a colonial-style dress looking around the corner of the house. She looked at me and just put her finger up to her lips and shushed me very loudly. The feeling I had is almost indescribable. Imagine feeling as if all sense of safety and protection is gone, and you don't feel at all happy. My heart felt like it stopped. I started crying as I was so scared. I knew she wasn't human. I don't know how, I just knew. I turned around to my friends and screamed, "Run!" and started sprinting back to the truck. My phone flew out of my pocket about halfway back to the truck. My friend Julia told me this happened and I told her to leave it. Now if you know me, you know if I'm ditching my phone, it's serious. Julia and Delaney got back to the truck. We tried to open it, but it was locked. Delaney reached for her keys, but they were gone, and so was Julia's phone. It's as if whatever that thing was trying to keep us there. Delaney ran back and picked up Julia and I's phones and found her keys. We got in the truck and floored it out of there back to Delaney's house. You might think it's just coincidental we dropped all of our things, but the thing is our phones and Delaney's keys were all deep in our pockets, and it didn't make sense for them to just fall out on their own like that. Later, at the house, we were talking all about the entire situation, and I was explaining what I'd seen. My friends didn't even hear the shush, nor did they see the woman. I was afraid they didn't believe me, but Julia reassured me the look on my face and tears were proof enough for her to run as well. We later found that there have been a few sightings of ghosts on that road by workers at Fort Pickett, which is a military facility nearby.